Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BETSPERTS.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Back home in the cave, living well. Excited for Week 16 of the NFL. Week 16, Andy. Week 17. My God.
Week 17.
Week 17 of the NFL.
I'm in the recording studio.
Yeah.
Or Hunter B as a two-time COVID fighter here. Feel better. Hopefully it's just the variant.
The Omicron variant.
Again,
yeah.
We haven't said this in a while. We are not virologists, but lately these new variants have been very symptom light. So hopefully it's good, because I know a few people who had it rough. I had a buddy who basically got told, like, hey, most people whose oxygen levels hit what yours hit leave in a body bag. Like, he was in a bad way for 2 weeks. So hopefully this is the trend. The newer variants, whatever we're mutating to, are very light on the no worse than and then you can get people from 2 years ago. So I told you it's just a cold. That'll be fun. Like, don't go on Facebook.
Don't go on Facebook.
I don't know why we went down this road right away. Hunter, this is your fault.
Like you were talking about you shoveled snow today, and here you are in your toucan shirt. I love the spirit.
Oh God, yeah, I know. So I didn't want to do snow last night. It snowed, and the kids were being awful. So instead, I went to the Spider-Man movie, which was good. No spoilers. It was very good. It was well done. Wife loves those, so she enjoyed it. And I said, I'll just wake up early and do the snow. I woke up at like 5:15, 5 somewhere when my wife gets up, and I looked at my phone, and it was 10 below zero. I said, I bought this truck. I could just drive
Fahrenheit
over the
for
snow.
you, by the way, if you're a European or Canadian listener.
Yeah.
You're talking about Fahrenheit, right?
Yeah, I said, I can just drive right over the snow.
Is minus 10 Fahrenheit and Celsius pretty close?
Minus 40. Minus 40.
Minus 40? They cross at 40?
They cross at minus 40. A little fun fact. Already learning stuff, guys. But yeah, so I actually went home after lunch and did it in the heat of the day when it was like two above. But yeah, the snow has been snow blown. My driveway's clear, and we're going to get into week 17, which is not the end of the NFL season anymore. It is the penultimate week. We'll look at us both busting up penultimate, and 24 teams remain alive or have already clinched playoff spots, which is
if this were
wild.
If this were a dramatic TV series, this would be the week that they kill someone to really drive the speculation about how they're going to end the season. So we are going to eliminate some teams, Andy. There will be some teams eliminated, specifically in the AFC. There will be some teams truly eliminated.
There are some. We've joked about this, like, hey, this is a playoff game. This is a playoff game. There are some that are for sure, elimination games. Betwixt some of these teams, and a couple of them, they're not really exciting elimination games. It's like, yeah, you're both alive, but you're like 7 and 8, or like, technically Washington is alive for a playoff spot at 6 and 9. Like, they would need so many things. It would be similar to that tweet you saw like in week 10 about the Lions, where, hey, if all this stuff happens, Denver's alive. Like, some of these teams are alive, but they're deep dive eliminated, and we'll get to those when we get to them.
Did you see Miami can get the 2 seed still?
Yes. I mean, a lot can happen there.
That tripped me out while I was trying to do the math on that, and it's actually not even that implausible. The
Titans, Bengals, Bills, Colts, Patriots, and Dolphins, none of those have clinched a playoff spot. The only AFC team that it's technically clinched is the 11-4 Chiefs. In the NFC, it's a little different. All the way down, it's Packers, Cowboys, Rams, Bucks, and Cards are in. They've not all clinched divisions. Some of them have, like the Packers, Cowboys, and Bucks have clinched the division. The NFC West is up for grabs yet. But looking like probably Niners, Eagles, if I had to guess. But
NFC up for grabs? NFC West, really?
NFC West up for grabs.
Okay. I mean, it's not clinched, but is it up for grabs for real?
I don't know, dude. The Bills lost to the Jaguars at one point during the season. I'm not putting anything out. I'm not putting anything out of the realm of possibility. Okay. Although, like, the Rams do get a team that's floundering this week, and the Cowboys the Cardinals get the Cowboys, who people think are very good right now. So
yeah, I got about 15%.
It might just be over.
I got a 15% chance here for the Cardinals.
Yeah, it's up for grabs in the same sense that the Steelers are alive for a playoff spot. It could happen. There are things that could make it happen.
I mean, the Steelers, it's not that crazy even, really.
No, the AFC is pretty wild. So should we got no buys. There's no buys again. We got a shitload of games. Let's dig into them right away. Okay. Let's find one. Let's talk Vegas, Indy. I was going through some old videos of ours, one from like a week ago and a couple of Colts. And I don't like arguing with people whose names and avatars are like, Pittsburgh Steelers 6 rings forever. And it's just like a bunch of Steelers stuff. It's like those people aren't going to be reasonable to argue with.
And it's especially weird because if you say 6 rings forever, you're basically like, we're never going to win another Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's fair. It was just a shitty spit by me. But, there's a couple, and it was like bleed blue and it was a Colts logo. These guys were thinking we were too hard on the Colts. And I almost said, like, buddy, I've got Colts to win the division. I got Colts to win the AFC.
When were we hard about on the Colts?
I think they basically implied us, along with the rest of the media, have been too hard on Carson Wentz. He's been good. We said Carson Wentz has bad turnovers. He doesn't. Carson Wentz has bad turnovers that almost happen. I went and looked at
bad plays that luckily have not turned into turnovers, right?
Yeah, I've looked. He's only thrown like I think it was 6 picks or something ridiculously low. But his turnover-worthy plays, I went on PFF. Looked at that. His turnover-worthy plays were pretty high, considering his dropbacks in 15 games. So Mac Jones in 15 games has dropped back 502 times. What do you think Wentz has in the same amount of games?
What was Mac's number again?
Mac's number. Mac, who we've talked about all years, they're babying him. It's a running team. Mm-hmm. He only threw the ball 3 times in one game. 502 dropbacks.
Okay.
It's not fewer. Like nobody's as
fewer. Oh, it's not? Oh,
no.
550.
Yeah, it's just like 508. It was dangerously close. Like it's the same thing.
Okay.
That's what we're saying. Like the amount of turnover-worthy plays he's had in a season where they've kind of said, we're going to just run the ball behind this line. Don't do anything to kill us. And Michael Pittman has taken a big step forward. It's
players like Josh Allen and Brady are probably closer to 700, I would guess.
Yeah. No, I looked at Brady's. It was quite a bit higher because they throw the ball.
They throw all.
I mean, that's your extreme example. Brady throws it a ton.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Carson Wentz, by basically any objective measure, is having a very average season, and even that is glossing what could be bad. In the same way that Joe Burrow is having a very good season, and that is glossing how he's been a little unlucky.
He has too many interceptions for what he's like. Those two should even out. Either way, like that was just a long way of saying is I like Indianapolis.
Yeah,
I've bet on them to win the division, to win the conference. I'd love to see this game just be absolutely one-way traffic, and I think we can probably get there. Just the way they are playing right now, and this was a weird market. Like this was a market where, hey, guess what? The quarterback's got COVID. It goes from 7 to 1. Oh, and then it goes off the board because they're like, hey, guess what? We might change the rules. Like literally an hour later. Hey, guess what? The NFL, we might just change the rules later in the afternoon. And then they do change the rules. And now Wentz looks like if he can pop some negatives or just one, I think he can play.
That's not actually even true.
Yeah, I think
he doesn't even have to get tested. He just has to not have a fever. According to this,
I think he just has to be symptomless.
First of all, so fucking stupid that here we are trying to figure this out on the fly and bet on these games.
It's annoying.
Just absolutely ridiculous. And it is basically
self-report
no symptoms, and or self-report symptoms waning and no fever. is what Chris Warren
It's
was
like when the
tweeting.
teacher would let you grade your own papers. But like,
Yeah,
oh
I did really well on this.
I got
assignment.
another A.
Very well.
Oh, weird.
Very well on this
Yeah,
assignment.
so
Symptom reduction. Yeah.
Unless something happens where he actually has a bad strain and he is physically too sick to play, he's playing, he's in. I think we can say this number is probably pretty fair at this point.
It's Andy. There's another way to put it. And if you want me to simplify it, the new COVID policy, honor system.
Yeah. Like when you have that coffee machine at work and it says 50 cents a cup and there's a little thing there, honor system. And nobody puts money in. And it's empty at the end of the week.
It's like, wow, we had a lot of coffee. We had no money though.
But I mean, just breaking down the game quick.
Yeah. I like the over.
Raiders have overperformed, and I do think that they will be able to try to run the ball. I don't know. The Colts run defense has been fine. I liked what we saw Josh Jacobs last week. I think if they do a little more of that, I hate to ever say you need to be a balanced offense because that's horse shit. But when you have a good running back and you seem to have some decent run scheme, use him a little more.
Are you sure he's good?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's opponent based, and it was last week was Denver was weird last week. Wouldn't you say that was?
Yes.
That was
they must have had some weird stuff going on with just like couple the wrong players, couple wrong pieces out. That game realistically that they should have won that game like 24-17ish. I don't know what happened really. I think Wentz plays. I think this over goes. And I think it doesn't matter with Wentz or not. I think they're going to lean pretty heavily on the strength of their O-line, and they're going to run it down the throat of the Raiders defense. I think the Raiders defense is pretty sus. And I don't think there's going to be many stops in this one. I think this will be a pretty wide open contest being played indoors. Fair price for me on this is 47. And again, as we mentioned, I'm basically, because of this is now the honor system, I think pretty much everyone's going to be back for both sides here. Darius Leonard should play. Some of the defenders on the Raiders probably come back. But both of these teams with a lot to play for. I think you probably empty the playbook to a degree. I think in general, I don't see the Colts being able to manifest much of a pass rush that really unwinds Derek Carr's performance. The one X factor of Waller not being on the field tilts us slightly in the balance of the Colts.
That's the last piece
like
of this
the over.
puzzle. He's been out, and now he has the COVID, and I think it might be too late in the week for him to honor system his way back in. Or I don't know.
I think that's true too. Yeah, I mean, what do you think of the over though? Just in a vacuum, like if everybody's out there for both teams except for Waller, what's your take?
And the biggest part was like teams should be able to run on Vegas. But instead, the coaching sucks in Denver. Drew Lock sucks. Drew Lock's not helping the running game at all by being decent. But they only ran the ball like 10 times last week. It was a weird idea of an offense for Denver. Like Denver should have scored more. The Raiders should have scored more. It was just a bad game. I'm with you. I can get down for this over.
Okay. All right. Should be fun. Should be entertaining. Very much kind of looking forward to that game. Let's move on to a game that I will not be watching. The Giants are playing the Bears. Wow. Talk about a disaster of matchups between franchises that we really just a suspect head to head here. If Andy, in a vacuum, if I were to say you have you have to choose to be you can only be a Giants or Bears fan for the next 10 years. Those are the only football games you'll get to watch. Which fan base are you joining between these two? Which fan base is in more dire straits in terms of being able to produce entertaining football over the next 10 years?
Man, they both have such a rich tapestry of history.
I know.
I mean, Hallis Hall and some of those teams from way back, and then the Giants are a very man, that's a tough one.
The Super Bowl shuffle Bears, Ditka. Yeah, there's a lot to like about Chicago.
Man.
Giants,
the
Lawrence
Eli
Taylor
games
and
the 80s Giants, the late 80s Giants, Phil Sims.
Bill Parcells.
Oh, you know what's the Bears?
The Eli
I fucking hate Phil Sims. Like it's just the Bears based on that. So I would become a Bears fan. That would be fun. I'd go down there, have some hot dogs.
Okay, but in sincerity, just maybe because they have some glimmer of hope in Fields.
I really think they're right now. They're probably getting rid of the coach. Hopefully, Pace as well. And they have.
You saw this.
It seems
you
like
saw
that.
it.
Seems like they might not. Like that would
I
be
thought
bad.
that was fake tweets, but that seems real.
That seems like real. Like hopefully that's just a mistake, and they're gonna take care of that. Get Pace out of there. But if you get rid of Pace, Nagy, go find yourself a decent head coach. Do some movement in the offensive line department in the offseason. Sure. I like it a lot.
What coach do you want to pair with Justin Fields? You don't have a top of the line list like call these three guys to pair with Justin Fields to be to really snap this franchise out of its funk. Dable,
maybe. Yeah, I was gonna say Bieniemy. I'd want an offensive guy. I think they have some. Maybe
Bieniemy is tricky because that's another Andy Reid tree hire on the back of an Andy Reid tree hire that did not work. Dable is interesting because it's you're bringing him in with another quarterback who has kind of dual threat. I think I would have to go with Dable between the
who
guys
I would
that
hire?
Are available. Who?
This is my hire. Pete Carmichael Jr.
Well, that's out of left field.
Yeah. He's been the Saints offensive coordinator since like 2008. And it's a lot of what's his face? Sean Payton, who I've said some things about in the past. But if you haven't sopped up some Sean Payton over 10, 12 years, and I think he was, even before that, he was with them. And you know what? He was with the Chargers. This is a guy who's been with Sean Payton for like 20 years. We established this one time. He was actually with him in San Diego back in the day. Like, this guy should get a shot. If they're gonna give Dave Culley and Joe Judge head coaching positions, find somebody who might have absorbed some fucking plus EV offense over 20 years and let him go with a young quarterback. Maybe he's just somebody in waiting for the Colts or the Saints job, and that's not a thing. But yeah, and it's funny. Dan Quinn is getting like they drafted and got some decent pieces in there. And I don't want to shit on Dan Quinn because there are guys like this. It's like, hey, this guy is a good coordinator, bad head coach. And when he's a coordinator and a head coach at the same time, he's bad at both. So I think I don't think that's just luck. I think Dan Quinn is doing some nice things down there. But he should not get head coaching jobs.
No. Very much not.
We've not even talked about this game, which is perfect.
Yeah, no, and I have no opinion on this game. Side looks fair, total looks fair. Let's move on to Tampa Bay at the Jets, where the Buccaneers are 13-point favorites, and the over-under of 45.5 seems a titch low. Buccaneers are a kind of team that is going to line up and throttle the sad Jets, I would guess, but do you really feel like laying 13 when all they really need to do is punch a W?
Yeah, they just need to get. They do need to take this seriously. They can't overlook this. They're in the midst. No doubt. They're in the midst of a 3-way tie with the Cowboys and Rams, and they're at the bottom of the totem pole there between those three as far as tiebreakers as we sit right now. So they're the 4 seed. The Cowboys have a tough one with the Cardinals. The Rams probably get a W. Like you need this one to keep pace for seeding. And obviously, yeah, they're 2 touchdown favorites. They should win. It's not always how it goes, but the fact that they throw the ball in like 75% of offensive snaps and the Jets defensive secondary hasn't got any better, maybe worse throughout the season.
Sure.
Even without Evans, they were just like great against a much better. Would you say the Carolina defense was overrated, but still a better secondary than the Jets?
By an order of magnitude.
Yeah, by a lot. Like we can say that they were overrated. The Carolina Panthers were never going to be a good team this year. but they're still a lot bigger of a test than the Jets, even on the road here. So team totals can be like 30. You want to bet that on a road game in the Meadowlands, feel free, but I am full ass passing on this one.
Yeah, and I think it's worth noting Tampa Bay, if they win out against the Jets and against who else they play, the Panthers again. If they win those 2 games, then they're probably the 2 seed. But the 2 seed's not trivial because the NFC playoff picture right now looks extremely top heavy. It is going to be very, very difficult for me to make a case that any of these wild card teams, quarterbacked by Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, and Trey Lance, potentially.
Trey Lance, yes.
It's going to be very hard for me to walk to the window and put a money line bet on any of those 3 guys on the road in wild card weekend, which means this seeding is important because you as the 2 seed would much rather host the 3 seed Rams than go to LA where you got your brain beat in earlier this season, and or go to Dallas where you're matched up against a team that plays a lot better at home than they do in the road. So I think it's pretty important for Tampa Bay's playoff future this year to get the 2 seed, and what they need to do to get the 2 seed is win these 2 games. And in fact, if Green Bay struggles or stumbles or trips over their dick at all, then you steal the 1, which is pretty cool. I guess actually Dallas is more likely to steal the 1 than you are. I'll have to figure out how that math works. How does
tiebreaker
beat Dallas? How does the math work that Dallas is more likely to get the 1? All right, I'll have to figure that out. Yeah, Tampa Bay wins. No opinion on the side.
So when it becomes a 3-way tiebreaker, the rules are different.
Yeah.
So if it were a tiebreaker between the Cowboys and the Bucks would move up. But since the
3.
Rams are mixed in there,
and the Packers, it's 4-way tie probably. You're talking about
a 3-way tiebreaker. Man, it still should be head to head. Or no, I think 3 or more clubs is division tiebreaker. In division, out of division, it's like conference games or something. Honestly, there's so much going on. I'm not going to do this right now. Atlanta and Buffalo. Here's another big favorites. We're going to have a few of these this week. Falcons eked one out against Tim Boyle, and things should get much, much tougher as Josh Allen and the coaching staff there especially really, I don't like to speak in cliches and hyperbole, but that was a statement game. After kind of having your pants pulled down a little in a game you had every chance to win and couldn't win in the wind tunnel game, the fact that they just never felt in doubt, like they're just gonna win this. The Bills have been a team that will run the score up even accidentally sometimes. Man, they beat the Texans 40-0. They do keep the foot on the gas. The fact that I don't know, the Beasley thing is up in the air now with the new rules.
Yeah, he probably comes back.
I think he probably plays in it. I almost called him Isaiah Whitlock Jr. That's
McKenzie.
That's the Clay Davis Jr. That's the Clay Davis person from The Wire. But Isaiah McKenzie, yes, he stepped in nicely. Looked good. If that's good, they have another weapon. And yeah, this Falcons team not going to be able to cover those weapons. That's why we're looking at 2 touchdowns here. It's not a game I'm getting involved with. Total's a little low, though. Falcons can be a little squirrely in garbage time.
Yeah, I thought the total was I was expecting to get a higher number here, and I was kind of fired up to play an under, but 40 under on the low side of 44. This is an unplayable total, unfortunately. Doesn't
I was thinking
like
first half under. Here. It's like a first half under, second half way over, and the total's kind of in doubt right at the end game.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. 14.5 again, way too big of a number. Realistically, it should probably be under 2 touchdowns. But am I going to take the Falcons in the spot? Nah, not really interested. There's better ways to play this board, in my opinion. I still think the Bills are a very scary out in the playoffs, and their current situation is they are very likely to get the 3 seed. That is the most likely outcome for them. Atlanta, very likely to get eliminated this week. So we can move on.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Atlanta
Is there wind and snow? I mean, generally this time of year there is, but I didn't hear of any outstanding weather stuff. Let me look at it a little more.
Atlanta is your 9 seed technically with tiebreakers. They only have to hop one team to make it in the playoffs. Being a 14.5 point underdog isn't a good way to start.
Yeah, it's going to be gross.
Likely eliminated. So maybe we do look at a first half under here.
It's going to be gross. Yeah, that might be driving some of this movement on the total.
Sure.
By some of this, I mean all of it, because it was at 1.45. You could have gotten under 45. That would have been a nice play.
Arizona at Dallas. Shouldn't have weather here.
Yep.
Cardinals, we made our thoughts clear the other night about the Cowboys. They might not be as good as we think they are. They beat 2 bad teams in 3 weeks. Beat Washington twice. The Giants are really trending downward right now. You still need to beat the teams on your schedule. You got to beat the bad teams, and making them look bad is nice too. But sometimes it can sway the market. And you're finally playing a better team, a playoff team, a 10-win team who is probably in the low end of their market right now, all things considered. Kyler Murray's been a tough hang the last few weeks. He's not throwing any tutties. He's throwing some picks. Hopkins is not coming back this week nor next week, probably the weeks after that either. I really doubt we ever see him again this season. And Dallas's defense continues to play up. I don't think that was a flash in the pan thing at all. Like we said, let's give Dan Quinn some credit. And they have the defensive rookie of the year, and they're causing some havoc in the pass rush here. So Kyler, very sackable. I worry about the pass rush versus that front and just how they compose themselves on offense. And I kind of like this under.
Oh, we're going head to head then, because I played the over. I don't know if I love it as much at 51.5 as I did when I.
I was going to say, now that it's been bet up.
Now it's good. Bet the shit up. There were enough signs, I thought, about Dallas kind of being pretty comfortable offensively in that game, and the fact that it was at home after a weird little stretch where they were kind of they had an unusual couple of weeks schedule wise, I thought, where they played on Thanksgiving. Obviously, they play again the following Thursday. They get a big old break and go and play at Washington, and then at the Giants. But a 3-game stretch where they were at Saints, at Washington, at Giants, all kind of a little weird disrupted December. They finally get home, and for that offense to be like legitimately flexing was, you take notice. And I don't think that was a fluke. And I don't think the Dallas is going to have trouble repeating much of that success against this Cardinals team. That's not to say they're going to get a block punt touchdown. That's not to say they're going to get, broken play touchdowns, things like that. But can the Cowboys get 30 in this game? Absolutely. And can the Cardinals empty their playbook, play a little bit more aggressively with their backs against the wall? Absolutely. I'm basically counting on a good Kyler Murray game here. If Kyler Murray is struggling at all, then this is going to be a nasty, watch. As in, and the Dallas defense. Again, not entirely buying it. They went up against a team that had some very, very, very bad players on the offensive line, and they looked absolutely amazing.
That's the thing too, and we'll get to that when we talk to Washington. Talk about the Washington game. They're missing some offensive line. That's not going to help.
No,
but
in general,
I still think they're good. And they're
good.
This is probably the case. Like, I'm fine fading the Cowboys in the playoffs. My worry is if Kyler plays like he's been playing the last few weeks, because let's face it, those weren't great pass rushes at times. And it doesn't matter if, this is a better offensive line than what Washington put together that day. This is a better quarterback than Washington put out there. But right now he's struggling, and now he's playing the toughest pass rush he's going to have to in, a few weeks without his star receiver. If he struggles on offense, we're going to get a second half like we saw. It's not going to be a 30-point blowout second half where it's like, oh, how do we even look at this second half? But it might be like, hey, the Cowboys are up by 20, and this is going to ruin this total. Like that's what ruins this total is like some sort of, if the Cardinals don't come to play, the total is going to be very, very chintzy, and I'm probably staying off it, especially now that I realize like you've made a case for the other side.
Okay.
Which, to be fair, at a better number.
Yeah, but 51 is a quasi key at this range, so we'd tread a little bit more carefully. I do think that this lands in the. I think we're talking about a 3-point game. I think the Cardinals are the right side. I think this is like 31-28-ish.
If this gets to 6, man,
30.
I'm gonna have a hard time not looking at the Cardinals a little bit more.
Yeah, me too. Cardinals lose this game, and the Rams beat the Ravens.
A receiver is a passer, Dan, I guess, if he's throwing the ball. Maybe. I don't know if that's a thing.
I don't either. It wasn't a thing when the punter got destroyed in the Steelers game. You remember that? When they had that, or was it a kick? Guy was like was it the punter or the holder? Anyway,
if we're looking for consistency in reffing, we might
correlated parlay potential alert. Dallas wins. Rams win. Rams have secured the bag. They are the NFC West champions. Does Arizona rest Kyler Murray week 18? Do they take their bye week 18 against the Seahawks?
I don't know that. What's their tiebreaker with the Niners?
They have the clear win over the Niners. Clear. They're clear. They are locked into the 5 if they lose this game.
Are we sure? They beat the Niners twice?
They beat them twice head-to-head.
Okay, that's what I needed, because the Niners could finish with the same record.
They could They could both finish 10-7 if they lose. If they win, lose. But Cardinals have both head-to-heads.
Do they have a tiebreaker over the Eagles? The Eagles could also finish with the same record. You don't want to be dropping. That's worth looking into before you place this. I love these correlated parlays, especially when they pay out 6-1. But it might be worth double checking. The Eagles are also 8-7.
There is a 6% chance that the Cardinals slip into the 6th seed. There's a 0% chance that the Cardinals finish in the 7th seed.
Okay. Yeah,
so I guess
I like where your head's at. I think they probably do rest, especially I think he's still banged up, and I think resting.
I think so too.
A move.
You don't want to put him at risk again. A meaningless game against the Seahawks, right? It may not even be about getting rest. It may literally just be about preserving his health.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play Cowboys,
and you know what?
Rams, and then add a little week 18 Seahawks +5. Seahawks +5. That's a feisty team.
Do you remember we played? Yeah, we played the Cowboys to win the NFC. Week 5? We took a number there.
Yeah, sure.
So I mean, I don't have a ton of NFC futures, so I'm cheering for the Cowboys to actually be good. I'd love for that to be the case. Healthy Dak, healthy receivers, and McCarthy stays out of the way. I think it's a thing. It's a thing that could be a thing.
Ricky is bringing up a fair point about the Cowboys before we move off this game, or he thinks we're wrong with the Cowboys. Let me make my idea of what to expect from them in the playoff environment crystal clear. A lot of the current enthusiasm about this defense, and the defense is playing great, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the current enthusiasm is buoyed by the fact that they are still creating a lot of very lucky turnovers, stuff that doesn't happen when you play better teams. Their schedule of late has been against very bad quarterbacks and teams dealing with COVID issues. Their recent run of success, where we're all remembering this defense as being all of a sudden totally solved and fixed, was against Trevor Siemian, Heineke twice, and whoever the fuck started for the Giants in week 15. Was that Fromm or
doesn't matter? Doesn't matter who it was.
And so basically, there's a slight market overinflated opinion of the Dallas defense that will not necessarily manifest in the playoffs at some point when they go up against a real quarterback. in a more difficult situation. Guys like Diggs can be exposed if they're asked to go cover Devontae Adams, if they're asked to go cover Antonio Brown, if they're asked to go cover Cooper Kupp. Like that all of a sudden this Dallas defense is going to be like, oh shit, we need to go score for score. And at that point in time, I am concerned about Mike McCarthy either pooping his pants in a high leverage situation about kicking a field goal or scoring a touchdown, or going for it. When is he going for it? He's a little chaotic. He's not exactly following kind of a structured analytical approach to things. And his time management is always going to be a boogeyman that exists in his closet until proven otherwise. So, like, there are red flags about the Cowboys potentially, and they may not manifest until the NFC title game in Lambeau. And there may be, I may be on this podcast in wild card week of the playoffs. Like, we're laying it with the Cowboys. It's a great matchup for them against Team X. Like, it may be worth laying.
Yeah, hosting Philly.
Yeah, hosting Philly.
Yeah, we'll take.
By the way, just really quick, the NFC playoff picture, wild card weekend is going to be like, it's going to suck. It's going to suck, not just because of the young quarterbacks, but there's going to be a bunch of like recent rematches, which I absolutely hate. I hate it. We're probably going to get Rams, Niners, and then, another.
Oh, you'll get Cowboys. You'll probably get like Cowboys, Eagles, Rams, Niners,
and Cowboys, Eagles. By the way, play Week 18, and then they'll play again wild card weekend. Rams, Niners play Week 18. They're going to play again wild card weekend. I absolutely hate when that happens. Even the Cowboys, Cardinals rematch would make me pull my hair out. I absolutely hate when this happens.
Don't pull your hair out. It's lovely.
I hate it when it happens. Okay, thank you. So ultimately, that's I guess where I'm at with Cowboys. Like, price being correct, the price may be right to back overs with them in the playoffs, to lay the points with them in the playoffs. But ultimately, if they have to go on the road in a cold weather environment, dream scenario, Cowboys utterly blast wildcard weekend and divisional opponents. They just blow them out of the water at home.
Beat the Eagles by 20.
Yes, beat the Eagles by 20.
Go to LA or host LA.
Host LA and just throttle them. And then you get under a field goal in Lambeau against Aaron Rodgers.
And
that's the dream. That's the dream.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Yeah.
So it's probably going to be a rematch, though. We're probably getting Bucks. Oh, you know what?
I can't complain about Bucks Packers.
I can't complain about Bucks Packers, and I'm going to think hard about it. If the Cowboys are dogs to the Buccaneers, that's one that I'm going to think very hard about, even if it's in Tampa Bay.
I'm not even sure what Ricky's position is. Does he like the Cowboys?
I think he thinks we're too low on them, that they should be considered like Super Bowl contenders. Yeah, they're thinking I think they are. Jerry World.
I don't think it's like they're going to go to Green Bay and lose 95 times out of 100.
Yeah,
no chance. I think getting a small number with Green Bay there is just that happened. Like, that cashes 60% of the time, and you should take that. So and for sure, I like Dallas. So once again, I have a Dallas to win the NFC ticket.
Okay, well, you're cheering for Dallas. The only thing I have in the NFC right now is Bucks, but I'm prepared to get involved. I'm prepared to bet a lot more on the divisional and NFC playoff rounds than I usually do.
I think than we normally do.
Yeah, usually I'm pretty light in the playoffs, and I'm just kind of riding futures, but I'm prepared to go pretty hard in those.
Go hard in the paint. All right. Here's another one.
Sam Darnold is back, Andy. Sam Darnold is back.
Why does this game have to happen?
I almost talked myself into betting this game this week, and then I reminded myself that it was Sam Darnold versus Trevor Siemian.
I think
Tyree or Hill.
It'll be
Taysom
Hill, right?
Taysom Hill.
I've looked so little at this game. I'm not even sure. I heard the fact that it's Darnold, but they might play other quarterbacks.
I'm going to go ahead and assume 7 is fair and leave it at that.
As long as it's not Ian Book, it's fine. And to be perfectly fair to Ian Book, he's also very slow, and that didn't help when he was getting run down by like linebackers who apparently were 3 steps faster than anything he could muster. He was missing offensive linemen. He was missing other pieces. That was just a bad spot for him. And then also he's not that good. My last point in this game is everything we've ever said in the last few weeks about Davis Mills and it said like maybe Davis Mills isn't going to be a starting quarterback for his whole career, but what he's doing as a rookie for a team with no expectations and putting on film might get him a 12-year NFL career as a high-end Mike Glennon type backup or Chase Daniels.
I would take him over Glennon as backup
tomorrow.
Oh, no,
it's such a small sample.
Sure.
I don't know yet.
I'd take him over he's getting paid as much as Taysom Hill's getting paid. I'd take him over Taysom Hill.
He might be good. His ceiling is maybe a starter in the league. But regardless, I think he's just putting this on film. He's earned himself like a 10-year NFL career, as they somehow do. Ian Book did the opposite. Whatever the opposite of that is, it's like, hey,
he might get a kick. He might get kicked. They might kick the tires in the USFL this spring. We'll see.
I think there is the XFL. That's something.
All right, let's move on. I have no other thoughts on this game. I don't think the Saints are in the playoff hunt realistically, although they could win out here. They could beat Panthers. They could beat the Falcons. And for all we know, they might be your 7th seed. It wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. Let's move on to Philly at Washington. Eagles -3. If you've been paying attention to this market, you will have noticed that Washington has taken money. And it's not, volume. This is sharp action on Washington early-ish in the week here. Washington was a weird team that was bet a lot in the first half of the season when they sucked and couldn't cover anything. And then they were faded aggressively and covered and won outright a bunch of times in the middle part of the season. And then they've been sort of supported lately and not done well. In fact, 3-game losing streak, all in division. Do I have that right? 3 games, or is it just the 2? It hasn't been great of late for Washington. They're losing their NFC East comps, and they lost to Dallas, they lost to Philly, they lost to Dallas. Now they presumably lose to Philly again. But the people are backing Washington in this spot. Do you have a supposition as to what the angle is?
Getting points at home, divisional game, getting players back. Heineke's not that bad. If there were ever a time where they were low in the market, it would be after a 50-14, whatever, ass whooping. They scored more than 50, didn't they? Was it like
56-14?
56-14.
It was a 42-point margin victory.
Getting the ever-living shit kicked out of them has to hurt their market a little. The Eagles are a bit of a team that's been in vogue all year, honestly. They've taken money in a lot of spots, even early in the season. And it's a defense that struggles. It's a defense that struggles against the pass. I don't know that maybe people aren't fully enamored with Hurts as a passer, and I like the passing. I like the wide receiver core that they've put together compared to some of the previous years when it's been like, oh my God, who's your best receiver that's not Hurts? It's like Aguilar. Like what's going on with this?
Greg Ward Jr. Let's not slander Greg Ward Sr.
Senior.
Greg Ward Sr. Jr.
Who's the racist guy?
Riley
Cooper. He was decent for part of 1 year, but it's a goofy spot. Like I guess the people that would bet it are saying that the Eagles, with their young quarterback and their young receiving core, can't take advantage of this Washington pass defense. And a defense and a team in general is going to be getting some players back. They were missing a ton. They've had 2 bad weeks for just injury and COVID luck, I guess.
I agree.
This is not a game I'm betting. I'm not running to the window to back the Eagles, but it's and I really do think, hey, you know what, Washington, you're getting some linemen back. You should be able to pass protect a little better. And Dallas is getting all the juice and all the talk, but Philly can get after the quarterback as well. So, I guess the run defense is make Hurts throw, and you shut down all the 9 running backs they use. That's something they've been able to do. Make Hurts throw is the game plan, and they don't think that that's worth 3 minus 20. I don't know. I can't really make a strong enough case for either side here.
Should we be live betting the Knicks? God damn it. They were losing the third quarter 25-5 at one point, but now the terrible backups are in for the Pistons. Probably go live bet some Knicks if you're interested in an NBA bet. The no action for me on this game. I definitely am curious to hear anyone who really loves the Washington football team and why. I will try to get to the bottom of that. Maybe there's somebody out there with an angle. But for me, I'm just kind of riding. I have a little bit of Eagles to make the playoffs at a nice price. That'd be fun. And it would be a real shame if the Eagles buggered that up at this point. Although
the theme tonight?
That would take Nick Sirianni out of the coach of the year race discussion. Let's move on to KC at Cincinnati, where we can spend a little bit more time. Okay.
The gem of the day.
Interesting that this is in the 1:00 slot when this is the best game of the weekend by far. We have yet to see Joe Burrow take on Pat Mahomes. This feels like an important rivalry from the quarterback standpoint for the coming years, as it looks very clear that the Bengals have found their guy.
Yeah.
And it looks very clear that Pat Mahomes is the guy for the Chiefs. I don't think anyone would dispute that. Hot takes come through.
Okay,
Hot takes. I should have warned you.
You want me to be Q&A for this?
My gut read on this one on Sunday was, let's take the points. It's drifted. Dog over. It is drifted and it has gone up. The going up was entirely predictable. The drifting was a surprise, maybe even a pleasant surprise. I am not. There are probably some old school sharps out there who are looking at the Bengals and they're like, you just come off a huge win like that against a divisional opponent and you're a young team that hasn't proven anything. You tend to pee down your leg the following week when you go up against a real contender. The Chiefs are real contenders who have done it before and who are legit. And this is a prove it game. This is a playoff tune up for the Chiefs. And oh, by the way, the Chiefs are playing for something because a loss takes them out of the 1 seed, presumably, conditional, of course, on what happens with the Tennessee Titans. So Kansas City has some motivation here. Kansas City is playing better defense of late. Kansas City's offense had a explosion at long last against a team that wasn't the Raiders. Many claiming they're back. However, I kind of like a lot of the matchups in this game for Cincinnati. And if I'm going to go to war with a dog against the Kansas City Chiefs, the fact that they're home, that's a nice bonus. The fact that the Bengals have 3 wideouts that can all create separation and catch the football and make plays on their own, that's a bonus. And anytime you're backing a dog against the Chiefs in the Pat Mahomes, Andy Reid era, you just need some relative certainty that the team can go score for score. And I think the Bengals are that team. And I don't think Joe Burrow is necessarily going to shy away from this potential opportunity to continue to build on the momentum from that win last week. And
I'm almost pissed that they did that on offense. Like, we joked about, like, somebody had to do it eventually to Baltimore. Like, if you're going to roll this, C grade fucking secondary out there, somebody's just going to light your ass up. And it was nice to see a young quarterback with a very fun receiving and tight end and running back core do this. But boy, it didn't. I was pissed. I'm like, man, is this game going to open like goddamn 3.5 now or what? Because I agreed. I wanted to take the points at home here. This total has gotten steamed up. I know some people are already on this over. I like that as well. I think I'm just going to be fine with bucking the market here and taking the points.
Let me ask you. Power number standpoint, does this check out?
My power numbers are really confused the last couple of weeks with the how do you fully do that at the player level with some of this COVID stuff?
Everybody's going to be available for this.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's been a struggle the last couple of weeks, but I make it like 3.25, 3.5. Like it's too strong. It's too strong of a number right now. I'm fine with this. It's at home. Burrow. I don't think Burrow's going to get caught up in this moment. If you want to go narrative town, like some people go, like, oh man, this is the Chiefs. This is Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. This is a tough game. Like, he's been fine. And again, this is a good call by half. Like, Cincy in comeback mode is live over. Like, if Cincy gets down early, live over is just
Casey,
mash. Both teams, like it doesn't.
Right?
Does any team gets up by like 10 or 14? You might want to look at a live.
And honestly, like I will be playing this one live for sure. The idea of sitting on Cincinnati. Can they put away a lead against Kansas City?
No, I mean, it reminds me of the Browns game. Remember the Browns game early in the season when the Browns were good?
Yes.
No, I mean, I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to try to be like, oh,
that was a lot of that was block punt, I thought.
That stinks, but that sort of stuff happens.
I'm Cincy. Man, Anthony is all ahead of us in the weather this week. Is that going to be that bad?
I actually did look at this one. I didn't think the wind was going to be horrible.
Seeing 33 degrees, 12 mile an hour winds.
Snover.
Well, there's a lot in the back of my head that, okay, I guess let's talk about the arc of the Kansas City Chiefs season. Right? I would love to actually go back and clip some of the Kansas City preview, particularly because we were literally like, their schedule is so imbalanced. They got to play every contender out of the gate. Every one of these contenders spent all summer planning for how you're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They took everybody's best shot. They got beat up. They had some injuries. And we kind of knew that there was going to be a buy low on these guys. And without a doubt, it was as clear as day when their schedule turned and all of a sudden they're playing the likes of the Giants and the Washington football team and the Raiders. You're like, okay, here we go. Like now it's going to turn around. And I think the market has swung too far to a degree. And too many people now are power rating this team like they are the clear best in football and there's no blemishes, but some of the issues still exist. They still, there's a lot of the second, the support guys stepped up and played well in the last couple of games in absence of Kelsey and Hill. But those guys are all still huge question marks in terms of are they going to do it in a big moment. I am still very suspect about this this Kansas City Chiefs team ultimately being as dynamic, there's to lose basically, which is what the AFC market would tell you right now. And getting the 1 seed obviously matters a ton. But I will not be shocked if the Bengals win this game, clinch the AFC North, the Chiefs end up having to play as the 2 seed, and their path to the Super Bowl is more challenging through the AFC than people realize. Yeah. Does that seem fair?
Yeah, fair point here too. The Johnson had a nice stat line. It was buoyed a little by the fact that, I mean, three of the longer drives were down 24-7. I mean, it was still the first half, but it was a lot of low win probability drives. Actually had a really bad drive in the second half, but two or three half decent drives once they were down by multiple scores. So like, I get it, Josh, and you don't have any tape on Josh Johnson either. Sometimes that stinks. Like, go look what our boy Mike White did one time, and then I'd love to see Josh Johnson play again against them. Like, do it again, repeat that. Like, not to say that the Chiefs aren't going to get. I don't think the Chiefs get shut out. If you're going to do a hot take, I'll do a hot take. Like, I think this is just a close game. I think it's a field goal game at the end. I think the Chiefs do win. I'd like the Chiefs to win and Tennessee to lose, so the Chiefs rest people next week. Another correlated parlay.
Yeah, let's that one. We'll talk about it when we get to the second half of that one.
Yeah.
But I actually not in love with that. Not in love with that correlated parlay, just because I think I like both of the other sides.
Yeah, no, it's a tough one to take.
Yeah, it's a tough one to take. Let's keep moving. And we will talk about the Jags at 2-13, who almost beat the Jets last week, but ultimately did not. And by doing so, we're the winners of that game because their draft position was improved. I don't really know that the Jaguars are going to put up a fight in this spot. I think the Patriots realistically have a lot to try to get right about their offense, and this is an opportunity for them to do that. Jaguars really aren't going to be able to manifest much of a pass rush here. They can't really stop the run, and they don't really have anybody who can cover. Patriots are going to get a bunch of their wide receivers back. They're starting to get healthy-ish, and they can't afford to lose a game if they're going to be a wild card spot even. 15.5 points for Mac Jones to lay is insane. Situational spot is bad for the Jags. Florida team going up to Patriots, go up to New England in the month of December. Never a great place to go. All that said, I would like to see Mac Jones just have a clean sheet.
That's all I want.
Clean sheet.
The only thing I want from this game is like Mac Jones go lock up rookie of the year. That's all I'm going to be watching for is just don't throw any picks. Just 15 of 24, 200 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, and maybe 20 yards rushing.
I don't think that's crazy.
Oh, God, I would just beside myself. Oh, if I could have that. So, and then that's the other thing, too. The Jags are in a weird spot where they are currently looking for coaches. I wonder how that affects the Bucs at some point, too. Arians said he's fine with
sure.
it, but man, I like that a lot. If I'm Tennessee, I'm you know what I would do as like a way to get him? I would send those linemen from Marshall up. Like when he comes in for the interview, have those guys carry him into the interview room like they did on that one drive. I'm gonna go watch that after this. Dan's already got a YouTube video for me to watch. I haven't caught up yet. So I got a lot of stuff to watch after.
I'm sure there's a lot of younger listeners in our audience that may not know what you're talking about. Byron Leftwich, famously carried by the Marshall lineman, and then also famously a Jacksonville Jaguar at one point in time. He was the quarterback of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That was so his leg was okay to stand on and throw on, but he couldn't run down the field like on a 2-minute drive, and people carried him down the field. Like if you haven't seen that, it's worth watching. It is something. Either way, yes, we're not betting this. This number's probably about right. I don't know, what we're gonna. If I had to bet this, I would bet the Jags. It's probably too many. I bet my power numbers say this is 12 or 13. Just the Jags have been better. It's not a great travel spot for them, but this is too many points for a team that just isn't going to put up big offensive games. They're going to run the ball a lot. They're going to win this by 14, and Trent Baalke, he might be in trouble too.
Wouldn't be the worst thing to get rid of him.
No. Miami at Tennessee is the other half of the KC correlated parlay. If Miami wins and KC wins, KC would clinch the 1 seed and would have no reason to play starters next week.
Yeah.
They could take the double bye, get everybody healthy. The Dolphins are winning every week against teams. Like I'm just waiting for all the Titans to get COVID. Like on Saturday now. That's what this Dolphins winning streak is. But you got to play Ian Book.
Yeah.
Like even the game, it's like, we're an underdog.
Brian Flores is
using
Brian Flores is using Belichick's old tricks from the early 2000s. Yeah, knocking out his opposition the crafty way. The
AJ Brown, bad man.
He's a bad man. But I will make a case for the Dolphins here. I think the Dolphins, outside of getting the luck of the draw when it comes to COVID and player availability, they match up well against this Titans team in a lot of ways.
Okay.
They want to matriculate the ball, and Tua has shown that he is like an ideal matriculator. He's developing
time out.
Yeah, go ahead.
That tweet I saw where I shared and said the one guy says 2 is like 9 for 9 on this drive, and I look up and they do a wide shot and they're on the Miami 35.
They're on 35.
I was like, I felt that. Yeah. They are a dink and duck team.
That was not as good as the tweet you shared about John Madden and the ratio. That one was.
Oh, the ratio one was
that was
good.
my favorite tweet that you shared all day.
Yeah, the biggest asshole on Twitter today was that doctor. By the way, I'm a little quick. If you go look at that guy's profile, his face, he looks like he could be Zilbo's father.
Ooh.
He looks dangerously like Zilbo. Go look at that. That's gonna stick with you. But do continue about the Miami offense.
Yeah, they match up well here. And God, the Knicks are up 7. That was quick. The 14-0 in the fourth quarter. The second unit for the
Pistons aren't very good.
Well, the second unit that they have because of the COVID absences is not these guys are not NBA players. I'm not even sure they're G League players. All that said, they're finally getting them out of the game. Thank goodness. The Miami offense, decent matchup against the Tennessee defense. They can't really generate much pass pressure. Miami defense, good matchup against the Tennessee offense in that you can put Xavier Howard on AJ Brown, potentially disrupt his impact on the game, and then let your pass rush, which is all of a sudden one of the youngest, hungriest, most excellent units in the NFL,
you got to be hungry.
Get after it. Yeah, get after Tannehill. Really put some pressure really put some pressure on that guy. And I think Tannehill under pressure is one of my. He's not good. He's one of the guys that really is starting to develop some different characteristics under pressure in a clean pocket. He's not fared well in the absence of Art Smith this year when there's been pressure. And honestly, I guess I am wary of taking the Fins plus 3.5 here. And if this was Fins 3, I would not bet this. I think I would pass. But the fact that you're getting outside of the field goal, I think, is important. And one of the reasons I'm a little wary of the Dolphins is because they had a 7-game losing streak where they played a lot of experienced quarterbacks and a ton of just good players. Yeah, Super Bowl MVP, high caliber quarterbacks. They lost all 7. Then the worm turned, and all of a sudden they got to play. Okay, let me qualify exactly who they got to play in a little bit more detail here. You had 2 games against the Bills. You had a game against the Bucs and Tom Brady. You had a game against the Colts, the Raiders, the Falcons, and the one kind of inexperienced quarterback you faced in your losing streak was the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. Then all of a sudden, now you get to play the Jets twice, and the Texans, an injured Lamar Jackson, the Panthers, the Saints with Ian Book, the Giants. This has been one of the most unusually lopsided schedules we've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's manifest as 7 games of losing and 7 games of winning, not that crazy.
It's turned into they're not that bad. They're just playing tough teams to they're not that good. They played the Giants at Ian Book. Yeah.
No, I 100% agree with that. It's been a weird season for these guys. And ultimately I still think this is a team that probably comes up just short of making the playoff field. But I think they can compete with Tennessee this week and at least maybe win, maybe lose by a field goal. I see a very small sliver of outcomes where they get run off a field.
Sure. I like the under a little. I like what you said. I like the Dolphins defense quite a bit. I think it matches up well here. And this Dolphins offense is just not good. And I should give credit. The New Orleans defense played their ass off in a game they had no chance in winning. That was one of the best games that defense might have played. And we'll just never know. It was really good at times. They really stymied them, but they were just never going to move the ball, so it didn't matter. So right. I do want to give them a little credit, but I don't believe in this Dolphins offense. I think the Titans, again, it's not a good defense, but a little bit of pass rush here and there. Tua always, somebody mentioned this. We talk about this in a chat. There's somebody bets this every week. Tua always throws one hilarious pick. That's going to happen. So it's a low total, but I'm leaning under.
Okay. Yeah, I like the chemistry he's developing with Waddle. I like the in general, the offensive coordinators are learning themselves how to call the game a little bit more effectively, considering the weapons they've got.
Yeah.
So it should be a competitive game. That's really all I can say about that one.
4 decent tight ends.
Yeah, there you go. Moving on to Denver at the Chargers.
This is an elimination game.
It is.
Probably the Chargers wouldn't be eliminated mathematically at 8-8. There's no chance of that, I don't think. The Broncos certainly would at 7-9. Maybe not even. The math is funny sometimes, but the Chargers, just the fact that the Raiders, the Ravens, the Steelers, the Dolphins, and the Browns and the Broncos would be 8-8 then too if they won. Like all those teams being so close, this would be very, very bad after a very, very, very bad outcome last week. Boy, howdy. And again, we have to give Davis Mills credit. We have to give that team credit for playing up. But did you watch much of that? I found myself not having action on it, not watching, and I kept seeing the score and be like, I don't know what's going on over there.
No, I didn't watch much of it, other than kind of getting the sense that the run defense for the Chargers is a massive problem, and the Chargers were missing half of their defense, so
that's fair.
Some of it injuries, some of it COVID. They should be back. Either way, I think this is still an overlook. I played the over at a much better number than 46.5. What is that? What it is market wide right now? Oh, this is on its way up. Okay. All right. So I got a good one here.
It's scooting.
Yeah, I think anything under 47, this is a fair look to the over. In general, Broncos offense matches up well against the Chargers defense. I think both of these teams just had weird kind of brain fart games last weekend, and now you got to empty the playbook.
We talked about the Broncos already. I hated the game plan. They have a couple running backs that work. They're not great, but they work, and everyone should be able to run on the Chargers. Fuck Sexy Rexy made him look bad. If you can't muster a little more in the run game, help Drew Lock out a little. It'll be Drew Lock, and for that reason, I'm out.
Yeah.
Betting on Drew Lock to score me points isn't something I want to do on a Sunday this late in the season. I agree with your take. The market agrees with your take.
Okay.
It's going to feel bad when this is like 32-0 Chargers and Drew Lock is just throwing the ball straight up in the air.
Hopefully he throws it
500
at that point.
Love that game.
Yeah, it's not my favorite look on the board, but I played it actually when I thought there was going to be more guys missing, but again, a bunch of the Chargers absences on defense are not just COVID related, they're actually injuries, and if all of a sudden Derwin James is going, then I guess that still helps the over because he'll probably have 2 pick sixes, but yeah. Ultimately.
Did they stop him on that 4th and 2, Dan? Is that what happened? Okay, good. I need to be betting more on college bowl games.
Are you just running like God?
They're all working. Well, I'm just betting favorites and overs, and that's working.
Oh, nice. Let's move on to Houston and the Fighting Davis Millses at the Rock and Trey Lances.
Red hot team, and then Jimmy got hurt, and maybe if this turns into, oh shit, Trey Lance is good, this is going to be one of the funnest stories that we'll look back for years and years and be like, you remember when the Niners, it'll be like full on Big Dick Nick, where it's like, oh man, that sucks, Wentz got hurt, like this team was so good, and then oh my god, like they're better now, they're going to win the Super Bowl. Like I don't believe that's in play. I don't think that's feasible.
Okay.
I don't know. Like we have such a small sample of Trey Lance. I don't know if I can properly rate this. I do think 12.5 is too many, but I'm not running to back a Texans team that is at the height of their market right now.
They're at the height of their market,
which is just like, are they? I think so, maybe.
Okay.
Like it's like, oh, this is Davis Mills played good for like a few weeks in a row. They've getting competent running against a really, really bad rush defense.
This is Trey Lance's second start.
Yeah.
Is there any history of any player in the NFL making his second start as a 12.5 point favorite?
It can't be a lot of them.
Probably not, right?
Yeah.
I can't imagine this has ever happened before.
So,
when was the last time that a guy making his second career NFL start was a double-digit favorite? I will look that up when I have free time.
Somebody got a Houston plus 15.5. Good job. I agree with that play. I love that. Good grab. And yes, Ryan pointed out, it's a bad home field advantage. It isn't a good home field advantage. There's only a few left in sports. It seems like that.
Mhm.
David Culley is not making a late run for Coach of the Year, Patrick. I might have to mute you. I'm kidding. I would never do that. OG.
Who's making a late run is the New York Knicks here. They've left their good players on the floor and taken the guys who are gassed out of the game, which is the right call by them. I think they're going to win and probably cover the closing line, which is a bummer for those of us who had some some decent prices on the Pistons, but that's okay because we got the live Knicks in.
Pistons.
All right, let's talk about the Detroit-Seattle game.
So the Rams are heading to Baltimore. This is another one. Like, it looks like Goff is back. Tim Boyle is not good. It was good enough to beat, almost beat the Falcons. They had a chance at the end, right?
Let me ask you this:
they had a chance at the end.
They had a chance at the end because of the fumble by the Falcons.
Yeah.
They kicked a field goal down 7. And it felt like it was because they wanted the cover, but not the win.
See, he was there. He's not practicing. It's still Wednesday. I think he plays because he's an idiot about that. He's going full Stafford on it. So he's questionable. The question is, does it really matter? I think it's probably Goff is certainly an upgrade from Boyle. Monitor that if you're the kind of person who is a sick fucker who's going to bet on the Lions Seahawks game.
You know what the brave play? If you're going to put my hand in the fire and say, "Give me a play, make a play on this game," I'll take the under.
Yeah,
Seahawks defense is playing better. Seahawks offense still runs themselves out of games. The Lions aren't going to put up massive points here. Outside weather potentially, wet hands Goff potentially, wet hands Tim Boyle potentially. Oh yeah, fire ice. I bet that too. I forgot I bet that.
Can't remember.
That was a good
long time ago.
A long time ago.
I think you made me guess what this was, and I guessed incredibly low,
like 9.5 or 10.5, and it was 13. Yeah, that's right.
I've forgotten all about that. Great call.
I got a bunch.
Here's another one, and I don't want to jinx this, but we bet Von Miller under sacks for the year, 9.5. In his first 4 games, he had like 5 sacks.
I remember this.
And then he went like 8 games without one.
Got one last week, though, right?
Got one last week. I was just running through old futures. That one is very live at this point.
Very live.
I just jinxed it. He's going to have 4 this game, but either way,
it's
fun. It's fun. It's fun to have him. Well, I'm sure the Baltimore offense, they only got sacked like 9 times last week. So.
I think under 42.5 is still playable in this. And if you can make it, are there 43s out there anywhere? Anyone got a 43? Ooh, BetOnline has 43.5 in this total. I'll take a little piece of that. I'm going to go get involved in this under, I think.
Okay.
All right, let's move on.
I like that.
LAR, BAL. Rematch of a game we saw 2 years ago in primetime that ended 45-6. And it could have been worse. It felt worse than that.
That was,
remember that game?
Yeah. The Baltimore Ravens have been involved in a few like that. Remember the absolute shellacking of the Chiefs?
I do, yeah.
And then last year whenever the Texans were good, they played the Texans and that game stayed under 48 because it was like 41-6 or something.
Oh shit! Yeah, wow.
We had that over, and the Ravens did their part. Rough.
I remember. Oh man. Oh dude, that was a wild one. Yeah,
Rams,
we just needed one more point by the Texans. They couldn't get it.
Rams have been a tough team to evaluate because they play very well at times. They make teams look like, oh, this is a Super Bowl contending team. And then they have games where they look very rough, both sides of the ball. They look like the team that you described in this preseason as stars and scrubs doesn't work when you're able to take away the stars properly.
Right. And or they get hurt like the Baltimore Ravens have. The Ravens are still shorthanded in the secondary, although it looks like they're going to get some guys back. Chuck Clark, Jimmy Smith, Young.
Anything's going to help.
They'll get some guys back. They should be a little bit better defensively, but there's still one huge problem here. And that is that you have a quarterback in Lamar Jackson who seems like you want to push him back out there. And the videos that I've seen, he looks very not well, and at least not mobile. And that offensive line is atrocious. And you're now going up against Aaron Donald. So this is not good for the Baltimore Ravens offensively to compete in this contest. And I think realistically, this Rams 3.5 is a little short.
Do you think Lamar plays?
It seems like they're trying to force him out there.
I saw a video of him practicing. He looked like he was not excited to be on that leg, but
very much not. Yeah.
And that's the thing. If he's not a threat to run, that's a Rams -7. Like, what are we doing here? Like, if he's a one-dimensional passing player against a team that has a shutdown corner, and then probably honestly a decent enough. I mean, how do you rate the linebacking core as far as coverage here? I don't think it's good enough to take Andrews.
Better than
it's above average. I don't think it's
yeah.
good enough to take Andrews out of the.
No, their weakness is if the Ravens were 100% in this game, this is Ravens all the way, because they're getting their run is working, they're running it down their throats, and the Rams are on their heels. But they're not 100% at all. Their offensive line is sus, and honestly, it's the Baltimore Ravens are probably better off with Huntley, considering what we've seen from Lamar in terms of injury status and his mobility. If he's in any way limited, it's probably bad news in terms of sitting duck in a pocket, and
I'd rather have
comes Huntley anyway.
Healthy Huntley.
Yeah. So I think the Rams should have their offensive line at more closer to full strength, which is huge. That's going to make this more of a back and forth. That'll make this more of a, we can now give Stafford time. He can pick on the secondary a bit. I think just in general, the Rams cover this number. I would have made this closer. I would have made this a 6.5 point game personally. And I think I'm only half staked right now on Rams 3.5, because I'm in the back of my head hoping that they say Lamar's in and the market reacts and moves it to 3. Do you think that I'll get that?
I would love that.
Do you think that'll happen though? Like realistically, like if Lamar is announced in, is the number going to move towards the Ravens a half point?
So doesn't this feel like one of those halfway points?
Yeah,
but at the same time, it shouldn't be. Like
it should not be. Right.
No,
right. It's
so
wrong.
You have Lamar, a former MVP, and then you have backups who maybe are a little mobile, but it's again the Mike White reference I made. Sometimes they get figured out after a couple games with some tape on them.
Of course.
So there should be a halfway point between those if Lamar was healthy.
Yes.
Now a healthy Lamar is not a thing that's happening. Hurt Lamar is probably pretty close to healthy Huntley at this point, especially because he takes such a hit in his skill set and his level of dangerousness when you make him one-dimensional. In fact, it might be worse than a Huntley. So taking a midway point between like 6 and 2, however you want to phrase this, it shouldn't be equal both ways because you're crossing a 3. But taking a midway between like 6 and 2.5 at this feels wrong. And if Lamar is announced in, I will gladly take the Rams at 3.
Okay. God, dude, Alec Burks can't miss tonight. He has 30
I don't know who that
points.
is.
He is a New York Knicks He is a New York Knicks bench player, and he is utterly on fire. What does his statistic line look like? 11 of 15, 4 of 6 from deep. Good Lord, dude.
And that's the thing. And this is the other half of the equation is if you don't think Lamar is going to be announced in, and you like the Rams. If you like the Rams, you should bet it now. Because once he's announced out, it probably jumps up. It's not super important points, but a 3.5 still better than 4.5, guys.
Yep. Man, Alec Burks.
And then also the West Coast teams playing in the early spot has really not been an issue for the last couple of years now. That is starting to work its way out of being an angle at all. It's not a great travel spot for them, but even these back-to-backs for teams, I think teams are just getting so much better at traveling and accounting for this, Whereas back in the day, they didn't even think about shit like this. It was just like, where's the city we have to go to? Let's get into our plane. I'm trying to think of an airline that doesn't exist anymore. Pan American.
Trans
Every time I see Catch Me If You Can, great film.
It is a good one. Okay. So
one more.
Rams.
One more.
Okay. Minnesota, Green Bay. 6.5. I like the Packers. They have not been spectacular of late. They have not been covering cleanly. In fact, they have been playing with fire. It's been a little bit of a dangerous. It's been a little bit of a dangerous game that they've been playing with their opponents. However, realistically, this is still a team that is getting healthier defensively, providing time for Aaron Rodgers to operate, and has Devontae Adams, who the Vikings can't cover. Vikings are going to be outside in the freezing cold with their playoff hopes diminished, dashed, whatever. This is a bad spot for them in a lot of ways. And I know that people will talk themselves into Vikings and that this team is dangerous and that they have Justin Jefferson and that they're going to, this is their Super Bowl. I don't care.
They are, and Justin Jefferson absolutely feasted on this defense when they played in the first game. But what you really should look for is both of these defenses don't stop the run very well. Both of them are super susceptible to the run, and both teams have good run schemes. The Packers have, if they want to use it, they have a couple good running backs. They have a good, smart coaching staff, I believe. The Vikings lack that. I worry about that part of it.
Sure. For sure.
Yeah, I really would love to bet the Vikings here, but again, the way Green Bay is playing right now, and the fact that it's in Green Bay, Thielen to the IR. If they want to just really key in on taking away Jefferson, and Minnesota isn't smart enough to just run the ball a lot more than they should, and especially Minnesota playing from behind. So the advantage for Minnesota would be they could and will be able to run the ball on Green Bay. What happens in this game more likely than that? Green Bay gets out to a lead. Minnesota starts throwing the ball more, putting their offense at a disadvantage. They should be running the ball more, even if they're behind, because that's where they should be able to take advantage of this defense. Putting Kirk back there to get roughed up is not going to be your best case. So Minnesota from behind is not something I love here. And again, on the other hand, if Green Bay is up 10, 14 more, like I just said, Minnesota can be run on. Green Bay should be able to sustain drives. Green Bay up is probably an underlook and a live Green Bay look, really, truthfully. So staying away from this, and yes, this would be massive. Jair Alexander, possibly.
Yeah.
He's been in the tweets and in the blurbs for like 3-4 weeks now.
It's coming.
Someday it's coming.
I would like to see him get. This is like in the same sense that like this is. You can talk up whatever motivational angle you want on the part of Minnesota here, that this is their Super Bowl, blah, 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 blah. This is the this is the Packers tune-up game. Like they've had a couple of lackluster performances. They got a bunch of guys back. They're going to be at full strength in this one. They need to put a good performance on tape so that they can feel, the confident, particularly if they hope to get the 1 seed. And this is a hugely, it's a huge leverage for them to have the 1 seed if they want to go to the Super Bowl, because obviously a home playoff game at Lambeau is a lot better for their playoff chances than having to go on the road, especially in an NFC that is top heavy with dome teams and warm weather teams. So I don't think we see Bakhtiari again this season. It seems like that's he's on the Mitchell Schwartz path of ultimately does not play. Oh boy, Pistons missed the 3.
I swear to God.
Don't cover. No cover. All right. Knicks Pistons is a wrap. Minnesota Green Bay is a wrap. I laid the 6.5 of the Packers. Not my most confident look of the week by any stretch of the imagination, but again, I do think you're going to get a more complete performance out of them this week than we've seen in the last couple of weeks. Nothing positive I can really say about what's going on with the Vikings right now. What's your read on the Vikings right now? And where do they go as a franchise from here?
They need to, and I do like their front office. I think that's fine. I think they've done well with drafting. They've done okay with free agency. They've made some weird blunders. That trade for the kicker with Baltimore was weird, but kicker's been an issue. But they definitely need to get a new head coach, new offensive coordinator in there. They have too much talent with Thielen, Jefferson, Cook, Madison, even the tight ends, and they have way too much offensive firepower to be wasting it with a defensive-minded head coach and a fucking, what's the word for it? Ah, man, the word is escaping me. When you hire someone based on favoritism rather than nepotism.
Nepotism.
A nepotism hire in Clint Kubiak. Like, hey, you have a good last name. Like, we know that name. That's an important name around here. You were born here, actually, when Kubiak was coaching for the Vikings like 25, 30 years ago or whenever. So they need to just clean house, probably both coordinators, and actually maybe not the defensive coordinator. Fucking let him have a job. Dan popped it in too. God, just tip of my tongue with that one. So I think Vikings live for a playoff team next year with a new coaching staff.
What do you
too much talent?
Cousins comes back?
I don't know about that. I'm not sure if it matters. I think you can replace him with a number of guys, despite him having a good year. I don't know if he's having a good year despite himself because of all those weapons I named. Yeah. You get a Justin Jefferson, you're going to be fine.
In general, the
Russell Wilson in purple. What?
Whoa. Yeah. In general, the future for the Vikings should be pretty positive if they can move on. Like, it's an organization that is doing a lot of things the right way in my mind, short of the head coaching position. So that will be fascinating to watch that play out. We should probably touch on Monday Night Football since it's so consequential in the AFC North. I didn't bet it. I think 3 is basically the perfect number. But would you believe
3
that if chalk holds, the Bengals lose this week, the Browns win this week, and the look ahead for Week 18, the primetime game would be Bengals-Browns.
And the Browns can win the NFC.
And the Browns are currently favored on the look ahead. Actually, the Rams also need to beat the Ravens. So basically, we need chalk to prevail this week, and the Browns are going to the playoffs if they win at home against the Bengals as small favorites.
Yeah, Josh, I like your look. That's not a bad little punt.
I'm going to throw some cold water on here, and this is not a reverse jinx attempt. It's not happening. Don't if you have an AFC North ticket on the Browns that you're just like, I can't believe this.
You have so much Browns exposure. You have to do this. I mean, I don't blame you.
It's over. It's Baker Mayfield. He is the anti-clutch. It is when, this guy and his ability to read a defense and make the correct play, make the correct decision, it just isn't there. And the more familiar your opponent is with you, the more they're easier they are able to expose you. And you're going up against now an experienced coaching staff with Tomlin and company. You're going up against Ben at home. Monday Night Football, his last home game as a Steeler. Like, get out of here. Like, it's over. It's ending this week. It's over.
Need to wipe tears away with a terrible towel. That's the thing. Like, Baker. So here's what happens. Baker loses badly on Monday Night Football. And then absolutely lights up the Bengals.
And the Ravens go to the playoffs?
In a meaningless game. Just crush the Bengals somehow. That's classic Baker.
It would be. It really would be. I'm not getting my hopes up. It's over for the Browns. The Browns are done. Browns are dead. Throw some dirt on that team. It's over.
That's a bad game. I don't want to watch that game. We're going to have to, though.
Browns Bengals.
Cleveland at Pittsburgh on a Monday night. God, what? Just put a fucking Bears game on again. Why don't you?
You want to watch Bears Giants instead?
No, I take that back. Oh my God! And here's a callback. Yes, we did not. That never stuck. Nah, people didn't buy in on Chunt. Good. That's good. I'm glad.
It is.
My God. So, all right. Hey,
The Browns are going to win their division next year because their schedule is going to be so much easier.
Baby shit soft.
Yeah. Yep.
So
their schedule is hell this year.
Yeah, normally I'd say we'll see on Thursday. No more Thursday night games. We won't be back till Sunday. Maybe we'll, I don't know, one of these weeks.
There's not even a good NBA game to do a halftime show tomorrow.
I was going to say we should do some NBA stuff. That'd be fun. We did a little off the air once.
Brooklyn, Philly play.
Secret pod play. Team total. We didn't do a
Duke
team
Jr.
total.
might be back for Brooklyn. Secret pod play.
Unfortunate name.
Ooh. Yeah. Here are some options. You ready?
Yes.
Detroit under 17.5. LA Rams over 23.5. Cincinnati over 21.5. Tennessee under some number that I don't have in front of me.
God, I like the Rams one a lot.
Okay.
This feels like such a good spot for them.
Raiders over 17.5.
That's a fair call.
Buffalo over 28.5.
We're getting some steam for the Rams in the chat.
New England over 28.5.
I looked at that a little. I thought about that.
Oh man.
It's the Rams.
It's the Rams.
We'll go with the Rams. We'll let you guys have it.
Rams.
Only if you do a thumbs up though, and make your friends do a thumbs up. Have your wife log on to YouTube and do a thumbs up.
Ooh, that's a very nice thing. Dude, Oklahoma just does not want to score in this game.
Weren't y'all going to go over the correlated parlay? We did the one. The other
There's
one.
two. There are two of them. The one that I think is good is Dallas money line.
Yep.
Rams money line.
Yep.
Seattle week 18 +5.
Yep. And then the other one would be the Chiefs to win.
The
Miami
Titans
to
win.
lose. And then you could bet against the
Denver.
Chiefs
You get Denver +3. Yeah, +3 week 18.
Yeah.
Those are the two that stand out. I could also be talked into adding San Francisco week 18 to the first correlated one because the Rams would have clinched the NFC West.
Stafford, yeah. The zigzag theory in the NBA playoffs is dead. It's moved into Stafford. Stafford zigzag is the thing. Zigzag Stafford.
I like it.
All right.
All right. Best of luck,
guys. Thanks to everyone.
Did you lay the chalk?
I just ran out of things to say, Dan. Thanks to producer Dan. Thanks to BetSperts. Thanks to WinBet. Thanks to all of you guys for watching. Thanks. Did I lay what?
Did you lay the points with the Sooners?
No, I took the over.
Not a great start.
Oh, really? I didn't know it started. I haven't watched any.